Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Scott. Now, last weekend, I got to go to the Las Vegas Open and participate in the Conquest tournament that was there at that event. Now, I had a lot of fun, and I figured I would share a little bit about my experience with all of you. So let's go ahead and dive in to my experience at LVO 2023. Many of you probably got to see my last video where I went over my list for LVO. Now that list was a lot of fun to play. I really was happy with how it went. I ended up taking 7th place in the tournament. There were 20 people participating in this event. So that put me more or less in the middle of the player rankings, which is pretty much where I wanted to be. It's kind of what I expected from the tournament. So I'm pretty happy with that. In the first round of the tournament, I was paired against Wadroon, and we were playing the scenario Bottleneck. Now, in theory, I should have had a huge disadvantage as Wadroon have a lot of fast-moving cavalry. Luckily for me, my opponent played a little bit too defensive with her cavalry and her apex predators, and I was able to get all of my units into the positions I needed them to be able to capture important objectives. Now, I did win, but it wasn't a huge victory. It was pretty close. We were within a few points of each other's scores up until the last rounds of the match. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the first round. It really helped boost my confidence for how the army could do in the rest of the tournament. The second round of the tournament was perhaps my favorite match from the event. We played the scenario Forlorn Hope, and I got paired against a Spires player that's from my normal play group, which means both of us knew exactly how the other player was going to use their army. This resulted in a very tactical game with a lot of trading back and forth. The scores were very close throughout the entire game. In the end, I did win, but only by 1 or 2 points, and we weren't sure I was going to win up until really the supremacy roll in the last round. When I got supremacy, we knew that I was going to win because my army was going to destroy his before he could destroy mine. The third round was a very interesting match for me. It's the only one where I feel like maybe I didn't give my opponent that great of a match. We played the scenario Melee, and I made a mistake early on in the match that resulted in my warlord and his regiment of legionnaires getting absolutely decimated by a pair of Jotnar. I was paired against a very skilled Nords player, and there were a couple units, such as Bowchosen, that I hadn't fought before, so I wasn't sure what to expect from them. I overextended myself, and then spent the rest of the game trying to recover from the loss of my warlord, which opened up the whole center of the board for the Nords to just pour through and destroy my army. It's the only match that I lost by a large margin. I believe I was like 4 points to 20 in the end. I finally conceded in the 6th or 7th round because I knew there was no way I could turn around the game before time went out. And my second defeat came during round 4 of the tournament, and this was still a very fun match. I got paired against Dwegom, and we were playing the scenario Maelstrom. Now, I knew that I had an uphill fight going into this match, because Dwegom are perhaps the only army that I feel like my army consistently struggles against every time I've played against them. Now, I was actually winning for most of the match. It wasn't until the last few rounds that my opponent was able to push my center field defenses off of the objective and start pulling ahead. It was actually a very fun game, and we determined afterwards that the only reason I lost is because I committed too many of my troops to the right flank objective, which my opponent didn't go for. As my opponent pointed out, in this scenario you really only needed to go for 2 zones, and so he didn't feel the need to allocate any troops to that far right flank. It was a very interesting match, and I came out of it learning a lot. In the 5th and final round, we played the scenario head-to-head, and I got paired against a 100 Kingdoms player that was packing a lot of Crimson Tower. Now, I was honestly very nervous going into this match because I've never faced off against Crimson Tower, let alone 3 regiments of these heavy cavalry. Now, they did pack a punch, but I rolled some really amazing rolls, and 2 units of my Bone Golems were actually able to wipe out probably about half of my opponent's army, which really crushed my opponent's morale. Now, this wasn't a crushing victory. My opponent did score a lot of points and did push me back on my right flank. It was only because of my Bone Golems being on the left flank that I was able to push through, capture the right objective markers, and outscore my opponent in the last few rounds of the match. The last day of the convention was perhaps my favorite day. Now, the tournament was a lot of fun. but playing that many rounds of Conquest all at once in that kind of setting does take its toll on people. I lost my voice, and I just wasn't feeling like playing in the First Blood casual event that happened on Sunday. So instead, I spent the day in the presentation booth for Para Bellum, helping give demos, showing off the cool models that are part of this game, and really trying to just sell people on the idea of playing Conquest. Had a lot of fun. I got to meet and get to know several of the Para Bellum staff members, which is an opportunity that not everybody gets to have. So I felt like it was a really great experience, and I would really love to go help give demos at conventions again. I hope I get that opportunity next year. I think my biggest takeaway from all of this is just how fun a Para Bellum official event could be, and just how important it is for us as players to support these events. Now, it's my understanding that about 8 people didn't show up for this tournament that had signed up previously, and it's unfortunate that that had to happen, and it's also unfortunate that this LVO tournament is probably the smallest convention tournament that's going to happen this year. Adepticon's coming up in a few weeks, and it's my understanding that there's something like 40 people participating in that event. So I want to stress to all of you guys the importance of supporting Conquest at conventions, at big tournaments, and even on the local level. This game has so much potential to grow and become one of the main games out there, but it requires us supporting the game for all of that to happen. So make sure you reach out to your local Vanguard, reach out to Para Bellum, and figure out how you can become more involved in your Conquest community to help the game grow. I'm really grateful for all of you that watched this video today, for all of you that have been supporting my channel. I hope that you guys will continue to do so. I'd like to give a special shout out to my channel members that make videos like this possible. You guys are the best, and your support means a lot to me. I just want to thank you. Anyway, have an amazing day, and we'll catch you in the next one.